What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Haze Demon Show. And today we are going to be going over the brand new tier list 2020 tier list coming at you for South Park Phone Destroyer for your viewing satisfaction guaranteed, live and in color. We're not live, actually. On your Teletubby. Can you dig it, baby? All of my towels and my moist towelettes in the chat. Howdy doody. Ms. New Booties. Alrighty, so check this out. This is the old tier list, right? If you've seen my old tier list videos, this is the old one, right? So that's, just get ready. We're gonna actually, last time I unveiled each card one at a time, and I talked about their strengths and weaknesses and why I decided to put them where I put them on the tier list. And this time I've decided to show them all at one time, so that way we can kind of do this video a little bit quicker. So if you want a more in-depth explanation about some of the older cards, then you want to check out my older tier list videos to get a good idea of like what each card is capable of. But we're going to try to skim through it a little bit quick here and just talk about the differences between each card and why they ended up in the position that they're at. So it's going to be a little bit quicker, and also just something to keep in mind that I am gauging these cards based on being in the top, let's just say the top 500, top 1,000 players in the world. The meta is a little bit different than the rest of the Gold League. I mean, the bottom of Gold League, you could say, and Bronze League and Silver League. You know, it's going to be different gameplays. And then I'm also basing these cards on how well the card does on its own, and nothing to do with any other cards, like they're like that would need to be Pope Timid or something like that. Basically, that's something to be specific about. And also that the cards are going to be level 4 legendary, level 5 epics, level 6 rares, and level 7 commons. That's what we're going to be kind of basing the cards on, how much their stats are and things like that. So without further ado, make sure to hit that like and subscribe to the channel, because I do a bunch of live streams also, not just tier list videos. But yep, let's go ahead and do this. Let's get this bad boy unveiled. Bada bing, bada boom. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The new 2020 tier list coming at you. And two of the biggest changes that you're going to see on here is Mr. Hanky and Satan. Mr. Hanky was in the A tier, I believe. Maybe even the B tier. We can take a look here. I can just look real quick just to make sure. Yes, he was in the A tier. I don't want to do that too much here, but Satan was also in the B tier, I'm pretty sure. Though now the thing is we're raising these cards up to level 4 comparisons here, and Mr. Hanky just has a really blistering fast attack, and he can boost up other cards' abilities, making him MVP in a lot of games just because of the raw power that he slams them in with the poop. And then like other cards have the ability to regenerate their abilities quickly, their charge abilities. And Satan at level 4, he can absolutely destroy pushes, even though he's been nerfed in the last year. He's just very good. I put Dog Poo in the A tier. I think he was in the B tier last time that I did a tier list video. He moved up. I actually think he should have just been in the A tier in the first place instead of B tier. But I do think that Towley is still better than Dog Poo, simply because of the slowdown ability. Adding in slowdown versus adding in doing more damage. I mean, it's more of like an opinion thing when it comes to this thing, because some people may say Dog Poo's better than Towley. You know, it's kind of like a, you know, it's just a matter of opinion. But my opinion is that the slow motion, the Towel Nation, is so much stronger than the Poo Nation. However, Dog Poo does have a very strong place. Like I said, he was a B card before. I think he's a very solid hitter, so that's why he's in the A tier right here. So we've got the B tier going to be Marcus and Santa Claus. Marcus is just good because he can do chip damage without really having to get across the field. Pretty reliable, and also can force your opponent to do some really weird things to get rid of him. But he does kind of lack in just being able to do damage. I don't want to get too much into it, but then we got Satan here. It's not Satan, Santa Claus. who is just an all-around very solid tank unit with 5 energy. He does a really good amount of damage, he has a really good amount of health, and he can boost up any of the other charge units. So even if he doesn't hit any other charge units, he still has really good stats for that 5 cost. Alright, so next we've got the C+ category. We have Man Bear Pig. He hasn't changed at all since the last tier list video, and my opinion on him hasn't changed either. He's just too much energy, and he attacks too slow, and nowadays it's more about swarm. You can still get away with Man Bear Pig if you have a build for him, but it's just that I think he just not the right meta for him, maybe, I'm not sure. Mayor McDaniels is a brand new card that came out, a ranged 4 cost unit. Her ability is actually pretty good. She war cries when she hits the field, and it makes it to where any charged abilities are restarted. If it can hit them early enough during their animation, then she can stop them mid-animation, right? But I think that, let me see here, we got this right. Yeah, but I think that her stats, her attack and her health are extremely weak. If her stats were to be better, she would easily jump up 2 tiers just because of her ability negation. But her ability negation is what allows her to be a C+ card. Otherwise, she'd be much further down. PC Principal, in the last one I had in the A tier, and it was because he has really good health, for sure. He's a tank, but the problem is that nowadays a lot of units are going to be attacking faster and a swarm and a lower cost, and so even though he is a really good tank for his stats, he tends to have a harder time versus the current builds that are going on in people's decks. Then we've got Rat Swarm that got boosted up recently, buffed up their attack. I don't think that their health got boosted. I'm pretty sure it was just attack. They were 1 tier lower. I just raised them up 1 tier. I think that they're really good more defensively. You can use them offensive in certain situations, but I mean, I just tend to rank assassins a little lower than they probably should be, except Mr. Hanky. Now he finally is getting what he deserves to be up in the S tier, no doubt about it. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about the C- category here. We have Nathan and Terrence Mephisto both being 4 cost ranged units. Terrence Mephisto was 1 tier higher in my last one, and Nathan was 1 tier lower, and now I've raised them up, lowered them to where they're even. I think it's because, honestly, Terrence just doesn't really have a lot of health and doesn't do a lot of damage, but the flying does really help a lot. AoE for the swarms that are currently going on. And then Nathan, the reason why I raised him up purely is because his range is just, can eventually lead to him surviving way longer than any other ranged unit possible. Just because of that, and also his knockback can cancel out abilities, and I mean like Witch Doctor Token uses his ability and there's no units sitting next to him because Nathan knocked him back. The knockback effect actually is not bad at all with Nathan, which may make him more powerful than Terrence, but again, Terrence is a flying unit, so I think that's where he can end up kind of sitting more even with him. But Nathan's knockback is really good for sure. And then we have President Garrison all the way on the far right side here. President Garrison being a 5 cost brand new card, a fighter. He has a charged ability where he will call a laser down onto a random unit. He also has an AoE attack. I think that he just doesn't have enough stats. His randomness of his ability is similar to Hook Hand Clyde, where you can really win games almost easily with him, but then there'll be a lot of other times where you just feel like you're doing absolutely nothing with his ability, and then if you get 0 benefit with his ability, his attack and his health are just garbage, right? So I think he desperately needs more attack and health, and then he would become a much more solid card, possibly even going up to the B tier also. Similar to Mayor McDaniels, they both could go up 2 tiers if they just got a health and attack buff of some sort. So we've got here the D category. Big Gay Al was in the E category before I decided to rank him up 1 higher, and the reason why is simply because if your opponent is down to the point where they have, you know, all units on the field or whatever, it's the last 20 seconds of the match, Big Gay Al can get in there. It only takes him like 2 seconds to go from spawning to attacking the new kid, and he can get that damage done really quickly. He also can, if people start to swarm around him, he has a decent amount of health, enough that you can back him up with some AoE abilities or things like that. But his time between him attacking or spawning and attacking the new kid is so low that I decided to raise him higher up, even though he can be difficult to make work. But he is more efficient than quite a few other cards. And here we've got Nelly in the D category as well. She was one tier higher, maybe even one tier higher. She might have been 2 tiers higher, I mean. I can't remember. Like I said, I don't want to switch back and forth too much, but I feel like she just doesn't have enough attack and health. Same thing with President Garrison. I think if she could just have more attack and health, her AoE ability would become much more beneficial. But right now, she just gets eaten up too quickly, even by a swarm unit. She can kill, you know, rats and gnomes, but once the chickens or, you know, any other kind of swarm type units really just are going to overwhelm her too easily. And then we have Mr. Mackey, who I feel like his stats are kind of okay. Like his health might be okay, his attack's probably not okay. I'm not for sure here, but his ability is what he's really lacking in to be able to push him up any higher on the list. I kind of wanted to put him up in the C- category, but you really can't tell the difference whenever he's on the field sometimes. Even when he's boosting units, because he's only boosting like 1 or 2 units, because you're always running some adults as well. And then also they tend to walk, he walks slower, I think it is, or maybe than some of the assassins. What I'm thinking of maybe is that he walks faster than some ranged units, so he ends up walking out of their range of his ability, and he can't help them. So I think maybe he just needs a bigger aura, or just maybe a board-wide aura like Bradley, and then he would become much more powerful for sure. Pigeon Gang was in the F category last time, and I thought that the only thing that they really needed was more movement speed that would make a difference. Red Links buffed them with their movement speed and their health, and I think maybe their attack, maybe not their attack, but they still seem to not do enough to make them like a really good card. But they did go from the F category up to the D. They went up 2 tiers, purely because you can use them as a pretty good defensive card just from having so many units, and then having the you can add in some extra swarm and whatnot. So they did get a decent buff into categories, but they're still not that strong. And then we've got the E category. Classy, she's about to get her buff right now, and let me tell you, it's really only going to probably make her worse. However, last time I had her in the F category, I decided to bring her up to the E category just to play it safe, because the effects, or the buffs haven't actually happened yet. They're going to happen next week, I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure next week. And yeah, I feel like they made it to where she can move faster, and a lot of the time when you have a 5-cost unit, you want them to actually go slower than other units. But the idea that they have it is that her 2/3 of health in rage is going to give her more time to hit units, and then she should be able to walk faster in between units to attack them, similar to like what I was talking about with pigeons. But I think it's still going to potentially make her even worse. So she really should be in the F category, but I'm playing it safe, and we're going to put in the E category. Mimsy is still in the E category. You can make him work in a really rare situations to where he can get that uppercuts in and win the game. But in the long term of leveling up all your cards and the variety and the counters, Mimsy just has way too many counters. He's too slow from the time that he spawns, from the time that he does damage. It gives your opponent time to gain energy to be able to counter him in the most correct way possible, because they can sit there and just watch him walking. So he just doesn't do enough. Even though he's my favorite card in the game, he still just doesn't do enough to be a higher tier. It's too much of a gamble, too inconsistent. And then we've got here Starvin' Marvin, which falls in the same problem with Mimsy. Starvin' Marvin with a 4-cost assassin headhunter. He just is slow. He's a flying unit, but he's slow, and he doesn't have a lot of health, so it's really easy for an opponent to be able to counter him with just one ranged unit, right? You can't counter Mimsy with just one ranged unit, but you definitely can with Starver and Marvin. It kind of makes me think maybe he should be one tier lower all of a sudden. But you can... there's just so many ways to stop him, and he doesn't do enough damage. I mean, you could make him work, but... the one energy less than Mimsy is the only reason why he ends up on the same tier. And then in our F tier, we only have one card in the F tier for neutral, and that's going to be Officer Bar Brady. He's 6 cost. If he was 5 cost, I think I would move him up 2 tiers, maybe 3 tiers, maybe if he was 1 cost lower. But I think he probably does need a little bit more attack. He has enough. I think he has a decent amount of health. But I do think that his ability should probably be like a larger area, or it should trigger the bomb faster so people can't walk out of the way of the explosion. But there's many different ways that you could probably buff him. But right now he's sitting to be the worst card in neutral, easily. Alrighty. And so I've talked about every card in as fast as possible compared to my last video. This is much more efficient, I think. And maybe you guys enjoy the little bit quicker videos. So maybe some of you just wanted to see the tier list and not even listen to me say anything, and so you only watch the first 5 minutes, but you might not be hearing this part. But it's okay. I do appreciate everything. We're gonna try to keep these videos a lot shorter than the last tier list videos, and then I think I'm gonna do some other tier list videos, right? I do believe Adventure is going to be the next tier list video, so make sure to catch that within the next week or so, because that's going to be awesome as well. We're going to be seeing Big Mesquite Murphy and that bad boy. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Anything and everything is appreciated, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Ta-ta for now. Don't forget to comment and let me know what you guys think about my tier list video and what you would do differently. I should say this as well. And that's it, man. Don't forget to bring a towel. Peace out.
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Join the Towel Nation and save the world. Service guarantees citizenship.